Hey, everybody. This is Brett Arnold of Yahoo Entertainment and the New Flesh podcast.
And I'm Mark Dujsik of MarkReviewsMovies.com. And this is At the Movies Again, a weekly movie review podcast previously known as Roger and Me or Roger Ebert and Me, inspired by At the Movies, Siskel and Ebert, but not officially associated with either of those parties, that show, or any of the illegal affiliates involved with anything like that.
It's getting
Whatever.
sweatier and sweatier.
We're fine.
You'd think we were
fine.
under pending litigation, but
I
everything's
know
fine.
the way it sounds like nobody. It's a different show. It's everything. We're just trying to say what we're doing. I eventually we'll just stop saying it because everybody knows what we're doing.
No, never. I like it. The sweatier, the better.
And it's hot too. We are a weekly movie review podcast. We are covering everything coming out in theaters, on streaming, sometimes after they get a digital release if we missed the theatrical release, like the case of a certain movie this week we're going to be talking about. This week we are discussing the big release, Minions and Monsters, the third Minions movie, and I believe the seventh Despicable Me franchise
there are
movie.
4 Despicable Me's, which I was surprised to find that the fourth one was the most recent one. I just couldn't. There's been 7. There's 7 of these. Yeah. That's crazy. I've
Plus
only
sorted
seen
shorts and everything else.
Oh yeah, all the Blu-rays have several Minion mini shorts. I know this because my kid keeps taking them out from the library. But yeah, I've actually had only seen Despicable Me, the original, before this, I believe.
And then Young Washington, just in time for the 4th of July weekend, a biography of a young George Washington. Enola Holmes 3, the third entry of the Netflix series of movies about Sherlock Holmes' younger sister. Lockbox, a horror movie from Daniel Stamm, the director of The Last Exorcism, and that digital release Pitfall, which had a limited theatrical release last month.
If you say so, Mark. If you say so.
I'll
have to take your word for that.
It was released in AMC theaters. I completely missed it when it came out just because of stuff. So when it came out in digital, I'm like, I'm going to catch up with it, and we are going to catch up with it for the show.
Yeah, Mark, I hadn't even heard of Pitfall, but I'm glad you put it on my radar. Or am I? We'll get to that shortly. We're going to get right into things with Minions and Monsters. As we mentioned, it's the 7th movie in the overall Despicable Me universe, the 3rd Minions headlining offshoot. Minions and Monsters. And for whatever reason, it is a love letter to cinema and the birth of cinema through the golden age, through references including Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. So I was kind of impressed with it on that level. We'll talk about it. Here's a trailer for Minions and Monsters.
They suspect you have killed their leader.
Oh.
You see those large, heavily armed men? They suspect you have killed their leader, and they want you dead.
Quick?
Okay, action!
Buddy?
Which is actors? That was perfect.
I didn't know, Mark, that I needed a remake of Babylon starring Minions, because it does feel like that's what this is, at least for a while. And I very much enjoyed when it was doing the Minions are there during the birth of cinema, and it just kind of doing various homages to things that film fans may recognize. There are references to things you may not expect there to be references to in a Minions movie for children. I don't think my daughter, who's 3, almost 3, caught the Citizen Kane reference or the allusion to Metropolis, or that there were Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd-esque antics. But I certainly did appreciate those things. And my kid appreciated the slapstick, them saying banana or whatever. So there's something for everybody here. But I do think we both have the same criticism, which is like, this movie does eventually become too busy, and there's subplots, and then there's when the actual monster movie that this movie becomes about, when that starts happening, it just, I don't know, it's not as interesting as when it's just illusion heavy references to things I recognize. Maybe that's my problem.
Yeah, by the time it becomes Blob sort of it's already gone through two different plots that are of different quality. One of them is not very funny or fun and puts the minions in the background. And the one of them trying to hunt down the monsters to make the monster movie is just kind of perfunctory. But it is very, very funny for that first half hour, which is I think a lot of people are giving that first half hour a lot of credit
Yes.
for how much they like it. It
Yeah.
does just become the big problem with the other Minions movies and a lot of the Despicable Me stuff, which is it doesn't trust the fact that it's supposed to be doing this slapstick humor. It's just
Mhm.
I could watch the Minions go through a whole bunch of different bad guys and accidentally kill or maim them for an entire movie, and I would probably enjoy it to some extent. And that's what they do again in this first one, where it's the Minions trying to join a Cyclops and building the first Lego brick and causing a bunch of mayhem. That's a funny bit. And then when it does become a tour of Los Angeles, going through Charlie Chaplin gags and a Buster Keaton reference and Harold Lloyd hanging from the clock because they stole stole the ladder he was fixing the clock on. That's all really, really good stuff. And it's the middle of this frantic slapstick scene that's so good. And then you're right, when it becomes it's not exactly Babylon. It's also Singing in the Rain. It's also The Artist. It's a
Yeah,
familiar story
yeah.
about old Hollywood, the transition to talkies and all that. It's also very funny. But
It's
then
funny because the Minionese they speak
Mhm.
like that
Yes.
actually is a great example of like why the talkies were like Singing in the Rain has the character who has
Yeah.
the annoying excuse me, my microphone. Singing in the the irony of this microphone
Mhm.
problem. Hold on. Singing in the Rain. God, hello. Singing in the Rain has that character whose whole bit is she, silent era star can't translate because she has a horrible voice. So the fact
Yeah.
that the minions, when they talk, they sound like they do with speaking Minionese, which my recollection, it seems to be some Spanish, some Italian, some random bananas are important. I don't know.
I think Pierre Coffin, the director of this movie, who also is voice of Minions, got a very good gig out of doing that.
Yes.
I think he has just started speaking Spanish and throwing in the occasional other word like kaiju for when they're going after the monsters, but
Yes.
mostly it's Spanish now. It
Yeah.
was funny when it was all the romance languages kind of mingled together. It's still kind of funny, but I I wish the rest of this movie were as funny as the first half hour, but once all of that inspiration and that imagination of trying to pull in all these different old Hollywood things and that plot about them becoming famous and then having the talkies kind of ruin their careers. That's all very funny. And then it's just, we got to go hunting for this thing. And the minions are going to help this potential alien robot who just sounds like Jesse Eisenberg and lives in a dilapidated apartment. It's not that funny comparatively.
And then the other bad guy is Trey Parker, who it sounds like Cartman because
Yeah.
I think he said in the press, like they told me to do my voice higher. And I'm like, when I do my voice higher, it's just Cartman. But so they learned that, but they did some other stuff with his voice. I think it's a fun performance from him. It's funny that he's also in
he voices the villain in the third one.
So strange that he just did it twice with two. I'm assuming it was a completely different performance and voice for the other character. But still undeniably Trey Parker, I would imagine. So I'm actually interested in seeing that for that reason, almost alone, because Trey Parker and Matt Stone used to make movies, and I used to love them.
Yep.
So it's nice to see them. But yeah, I don't know. I think I am giving it the pass that Mark is describing, where like everyone is just kind of enamored with that first half hour, that they're ignoring that it kind of becomes too busy and slapdash the rest of the way. I don't know. I think I definitely agree with that criticism, but I do think because it has that foundation and I think what I'm stuck on, Mark, is that this $5 billion grossing franchise for children did not have to make a movie that was a feature-length love letter to the birth of cinema that might, for whatever reason, lead to some kid watching a silent movie because they saw the minions in it. So like I have this like inherent appreciation for them making this movie about what it's about, even though it seems like it's out of left field, right? For the franchise. It's not like, I feel like they maybe retconned some stuff to be like, oh yeah, we're all involved.
Yeah, there's a little uncomfortable conversation to have now that they brought up there are like a dozen tribes of minions, which means
Yes.
that, and now they're in the 1920s and potentially the 1930s as it's going along, and so that means, what if one of those tribes ended up in
Yeah.
Europe around that period?
Yeah.
Before it was just the one tribe that was, the main characters for the other minions and the ones that grew
Right,
and so forth.
right.
And now it's like, oh, I guess we are going to have that conversation about
He
where are
was-
all these minions.
He was asked on the press tour explicitly about Hitler, and there is a quote now from Pierre Coffin saying like that the minions were not involved or something.
He said, I think they were in a cave.
Yeah, perfect.
It's like, but again, the point is, he's just talking about the main group of minions. He's not talking about this, the 11 other tribes that have been going around throughout history. So maybe there are just some villainous minions too. Who knows? Whatever. I don't want to dig too deep into the weeds on that one.
Probably for the best, but I don't know, Mark. As someone who is mostly aware of the minions through like pop culture osmosis, like they're huge. There's one presiding over LA at all times. I don't know if you've been to downtown LA in the past decade. There's a huge minion there. I don't know. I still found that this worked, even though you don't really need to know anything about the minions other than they had like to help the bad guys, and this movie even sets that up for you. One criticism I have: did it need the frame story at all? What's the deal with the framing device?
Yeah,
sorry, my microphone guys is driving me crazy. I'm gonna change the chord before the next next movie. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I think it kind of does, just because I think it brings it all full circle for the whole love letter to the movies thing and what it's doing.
Oh, okay.
And
sure.
maybe answering around that other question too, that maybe it's not a movie necessarily a story set in that period. It's just about that period of time. It's interesting. I think it's a nice little capper. Plus, it gives you Allison Janney saying the minion's name Dick in such a way that it almost feels like it should be rated PG-13, which is great.
There's also, I feel like the two main minions maybe have a relationship that is alluded to but not fully discussed, which I thought was interesting.
It's hinted at, yeah,
and perhaps bold in a Minions movie. But yeah, I feel like these movies inherently owe a debt to silent era comedy, right? Like they're kind of always doing that kind of stuff. So them making it explicit with the movie and having them like do Buster Keaton shit, along with Jackass Best and Last week ending with a thank you to Buster Keaton. I feel like Buster Keaton's having, if the VH1 were still around, they would say Buster Keaton's having the best week ever because he's back in a big way. I'm going to give it, Mark, I'm going to give it the pass that Mark alluded to earlier, where I will ignore the things that are wrong with it to say that I appreciate the minions as kings of Hollywood paying their respects to what came before them. And it makes up for the fact that the rest of the movie just kind of less, it's actually more plotty than it needs to be. It's like too focused on all these things that don't really matter. So yeah, I'm okay with it though. 3 stars for me for my first Minions movie, Minions and Monsters. Will I double back and watch Minions and Minions: The Rise of Gru? That depends what Mark says on markreviewsmovies.com, where I will check later to find out.
I think the first Minions movie, Brett, is the one that gets closest to this one in terms of just trying to do slapstick stuff, and it's got some very funny bits in it, but it does also kind of have the plot problem. The second one, because it's trying to become a prequel to Despicable Me 2 by getting Gru in there, it's not as good.
That's
so I would
where
say maybe
I was just going to joke. That's where it gets hilariously confusing to me, where it's like, okay, so there's spin-offs, but now the spin-off is called The Rise of Gru, so it's ostensibly a Despicable Me movie. So what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, it's a weird one.
I don't think they ever answered what the fuck are they doing either. They're just like, we're doing it.
They're kind of running low on ideas. So it is nice to see this at least try to do something new with some new characters who are essentially the same characters. But Brett, I can't get past the 2 subplots, and it kind of losing its steam a lot. So 2.5 stars from me for Minions and Monsters. It's still pretty funny in that first half hour.
Yeah, it's very strong in that part, and the rest of it is enough that my toddler didn't make us leave early. So that's not nothing. And it's also short, mercifully short.
It is very short. Yeah,
like maybe 80-ish or something before credits. All right, next up, Young Washington, the latest from Angel Studios. You can stick around and have Kelsey Grammer yell at you about liberty. And you can pay it forward and buy tickets like they do at Angel Studios movies. Here's a trailer for Young Washington.
Why can I not become a British officer?
Because you are not British,
George.
There must be a path.
There is not for you.
Go dig my grave, both wide and deep.
I sense a storm looming over the Ohio territories.
I could go there, survey it for you.
So you have ambition. Since the Crown sent me to serve, I've yet to have a good experience with a colonist.
I look forward to changing your opinion.
I couldn't get over the feeling that this is a movie that 30 Rock's Jenna Maroney would star in if this 30 Rock were still on. She would be the Mary Louise Parker role, who is also funny to see in this movie because she has, let's say, 2026 I have an iPhone face or whatever people say. Doesn't look like you're period appropriate. Anyway, tell me about Young Washington, which is surprisingly competent in some ways and then really bad in other important ones.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to talk about the elephant in the room, maybe about the use of AI, which is very
Noticeable?
disappointing
Yeah.
and noticeable.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very noticeable from, I believe the first time I noticed is that transition shot from him being younger Washington to being less young Washington, where the kid's on the horse and that horse looks very generative AI-y. And
Don't give
then-
him any ideas for prequels, even younger
I know.
Washington.
Yeah, younger Washington. I mean, they might do it. I think that's unfortunate because it's a movie about human inspiration and humans overcoming obstacles and trying to do all this stuff. Ultimately, it's the story of, you know, the pre-Revolutionary War George Washington, and they use AI and take out any kind of human element on some of those visual effects, and they're noticeable, and it's disappointing. Otherwise, it is mostly a competent biography. It's kind of it has that
very specific time in his life that's like
it's
under taught or under you know.
Yeah, it's the start of the French and Indian War, which I don't even think many people learn about that much in schools, even in the United States.
Now they will, because
this
movie will be rolled in on a VHS, on a VCR with
for sure,
CTR television on a cart with wheels.
For sure. This is definitely that kind of movie where everybody talks as if they're reciting the encyclopedia article or they're quoting something from the encyclopedia article.
Not only that, where it's like, I think your review says this, where they all feel like every scene is dripping with everyone knowing that they're taking part in history.
Yeah.
But it also has that problem of, even worse than that, where it's like, we all know that he chopped down a cherry tree once, famously. So he's constantly chopping down trees in this movie. And it's just like that level of dealing with the material. It's not the level I would want, I don't know, for something like this.
But when it gets to like the battle scenes, apart from the fact that you are constantly looking for AI, like, is that shot real or was that created? Is that the reason that shot was so quick is because they don't want us to notice it was AI? That's frustrating. But I think in general, the battle scenes are staged competently. You understand what's going on. You understand the strategy or the lack thereof. The fact that Washington really kind of doesn't know what he's doing here is an interesting idea for the character. You see him evolve from this guy who really wants to just make something of himself and gradually realizing there is a bigger purpose. I like that idea, but then you have to get back to the part of the performance, the central performance from this young actor. I think it's his first role, is not that good. It's unfortunate. William Franklin Miller, I mean, he's just kind of there. And if you had a stronger presence in that role, which I think you need for George Washington,
he's also
maybe
British,
it might have worked.
Which is crazy. He's British, which is such a funny thing to cast if you're casting a arguably nationalistic movie about George Washington and the main guy is British. It's pretty funny.
It is kind of funny, but I don't know. It's pros and cons for this. I think the cons outweigh the pros, just because it is competent at times and it tells a story that could be interesting if it were done better, if it didn't have the obvious AI, if it had better performances in it, maybe it could have worked. But as it is, I don't think it works.
Yeah, I couldn't get over the feeling throughout that I was watching a parody of a movie like this. It's just not really concerned with the legitimacy of the history. You know, it's more of the great man, capitalized G, capitalized M, you know what I mean, style of biopic that just kind of looks at a figure and is like, isn't this guy awesome? which would have been fine if it was well done. It's it's America's 250th birthday. People will go see this thing, but the dialogue is just full of cliches that people repeat over and over again, like playing chess. We're talking about pawns beating knights, and that becomes like a refrain throughout the entire movie.
Even a pawn can take a king or whatever it was.
Yeah, it just is kind of platitudey shit like that over and over, which is why it doesn't really connect. And then you're right, the main performance is a nothing burger, and then all the big roles, like Kelsey Grammer shows up for a scene, Mary Louise Parker's there, Andy Serkis is there.
Yeah, yep.
Like
Ben Kingsley.
Everyone's just kind of tripping over this really bad dialogue. So it's like one of those movies where I'm like, I can't even say the performances are bad, because I mean they are, but it's because the script is so bad that they're tripping over it. So whose fault is it really, ultimately? So I'm 1.5 stars on it. I didn't think it was very good. Although when it does, it was so annoying to be impressed with the, oh wow, I'm like, this has good costumes and production design, and
yeah, it
this
does.
editing. Yeah, this battle scene's actually well edited and it's not bad. And then it just like AI transition, and you're like, oh man, like this was going fine. Why'd you have to do that?
Yeah, I think that's the important thing to highlight. The reason beyond the AI, the existence of the AI in this, and that it's annoying, but it is the fact that they did the work. You have crews who did work to make those costumes and build those sets so they look real and authentic, and then that AI imagery just throws you completely out of it. And it's annoying because all the other work that the crew did is so good.
Yes, exactly. So that's what's frustrating about it. Yeah, I don't know. Would you say it's very Angel Studios-y in any way? Like evangelical filmmaking? Like not really.
Nope.
Like,
no, the most that it gets is Kelsey Grammer saying that the country was founded on faith in that post-credit thing. That's
he's actually like pretty angry at one point. I feel like when he's talking about like this country was born on liberty and freedom or whatever he says. You ever see that video of him falling off stage where he's like, oh God. It would have been funny if that's how that scene ended in the movie. He just fell off the stage. Oh God. Anyway, Young Washington. 1.5 for me, because I do think there's a little bit of merit in there, but they ruin it with the AI in that department, and then the script is just a dud that needed like a pass by someone who could turn all the cliches into better dialogue.
Yeah, or just a better cast that could make you ignore the fact that the dialogue is that cliched. 2 stars from me, Brett, for Young Washington. Currently in theaters everywhere, as far as I know.
I bet it'll do well because it's got the QR code at the end.
There's only 2 things will get people out of the house and away from their barbecues over the 4th of July weekend. That's Minions and patriotism.
Hell yeah, brother.
There you go.
We need an Angel Studios Minions movie to bridge the gap. Do this, get everyone in there. All right, Enola Holmes 3. Yes, for those wondering, I did binge watch, I guess you would say, Enola Holmes. The Enola Holmes trilogy was viewed by me pretty much back to back to back, which I feel like really gave me a sense of how disappointing this one is, because the first 2, I would agree with Mark's quick assessment, I'm pretty sure, at the end of last episode when I mentioned it, where he's like, oh, they're good, they're fun. And I did think they were good and fun. And then this one is like less good and not that fun. So we'll talk about why that is. Here's the trailer for Enola Holmes 3, starring Millie Bobby Brown, which she still goes by professionally, although she now is Millie Bobby Bon Jovi because she married that person. Anyway, here's the trailer for Enola Holmes 3.
She'll be here, don't worry.
I understand you may need some explanation as to how this all began. Life was everything I wanted it to be when it was just the 2 of us.
Enola Eudora Holmes, will you take I, Ernest Augustus of the House of Tewkesbury, to be your husband?
Yes, he has a first name. I was surprised too.
Hey, little sister, what have you done?
Given the family's history.
Perfect. No notes on the song choice.
No notes on the slowed down, intense, dramatic version of White Wedding in the trailer for Enola Holmes 3, in which Enola Holmes gets married to Tewkesbury. Anyway, this movie, I feel like that trailer got at some of the problem where it does like the movie opens and it does, which I don't remember the other movies doing. I bet you're wondering how I got in this situation. It's a little lesser than in every way, even there. Why does this movie lack the fun and charm of the other two? Because it fucking does. It really does not play as nimble as the other two, despite being like 30 minutes shorter than one of them.
Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on it. I think that the reason why is that they did such a good job in those first two movies building up what sets Enola Holmes apart from her brother, that she is empathetic and that she has this different perspective on the world than her brother, and that's what makes her a good detective in her own way and for certain people that maybe her brother would overlook. And I like that journey in the first two movies of getting her there, and it introduces some interesting ideas, especially in the second movie where they bring in the most famous villain for Sherlock Holmes and maybe just in literature in general to be a foe and a foil. And it's interesting. Just, I don't know. There's just something about it. And then this one, immediately it is busy. It's too busy. It's throwing you, like you said, in media res into how did she get in this situation where she's in Malta and she's running around trying to get to her wedding, and also she finds out her brother Sherlock has been abducted. Then she's got to solve the abduction, but then there's all this other stuff going on. All those relationships are kind of shoved off to the side because Sherlock is abducted. You don't get that relationship, so you don't get to see how they interact because she's gonna get married. The whole romance with Tewksbury is kind of just, we already know what's going to happen, and he's a little too supportive and all of this stuff for there to be any kind of conflict or anything new that's revealed about the relationship. So it just kind of gets in the background, and then everybody else who are all these supporting players just end up being kind of glorified cameos, especially like her friend who shows up at the very end of the movie to be in the audience. It's I think that might be it. It's not as fun because it's losing track of what made it fun. And it's more about Enola, but it's more in this time about Enola trying to solve the mystery and put all the pieces together. And it's less about her and who she is and how she interacts with all these people around her and what makes her different from Sherlock. It's less about that. Maybe that's why. But I was also disappointed with it after liking, especially the second movie in this series.
Yeah, I like that they all have that like radical feminist politics behind each of the mysteries, which still is true here, though it doesn't integrate as well here as it does in the past ones, where it feels like, okay, they tick that box again. Yeah, I don't know. You're right. It just, there's something off about it. Yeah, I feel like it just makes her, by making it all about the villains and other characters that we've heard of from the Sherlock verse, it just cheapens it, right? It just makes it feel like, okay, are you introducing Enola as her own character that's been introduced now? It's a third movie. I know they're trying to say this is her movie now because they're literally sidelining her brother, but at the same time, they're bending over backwards to include all these other characters that we already know, and it's just completely underwhelming. I feel like it just feels like it's like franchise filmmaking, you know, more so than story driven. I think that's what's wrong with it. Does that make any sense to you?
It does. That's another thing. Is, you know what the irony of it is trying to sidelining Sherlock and making it all about Enola, but the plot is still all about Sherlock because it's all about finding him.
Yes. Yeah.
And so and then also bringing in Dr. Watson this time, played by Hamish Patel, who I think he's really good in that role.
Yeah.
But is that the right character to have be the big, you know, maybe the biggest supporting character in this movie?
Right.
Is Sherlock Holmes's assistant and partner in investigation? That it's still a connection to Sherlock. It's not really setting her apart.
Yeah. Yeah. It's disappointing, but I did my retroactive reviews for all of these are 3 stars for the first two and 2.5 stars for Enola Holmes 3, sadly.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat. I also liked the first 2, 3 stars for both those, and this one I'm giving 2.5 stars, Brett. And I'm assuming they're going to keep going, and I hope they get back on track because it was heading in a very good direction. I thought this series was, because that's like what it is. They're so much better.
They're not dissimilar from like the Ritchie Sherlock movies in some ways. Like, it's just interesting to me that this took off. But I get it. she's a good character, and I feel like I saw someone on Letterboxd call the first movie Fleabag Junior because of the way she talks to the camera, and I feel like that's a very 2020 aesthetic that they're still doing. But I don't know, it kind of works because she makes it work. She is charming in the role. I've never really seen her in anything because I don't watch Stranger Things, and she hasn't really done much else. I've seen her in Damsel, the bad Netflix movie. And like there was
The Electric State, another bad
yep,
Netflix
okay,
movie.
saw that. And then there was the Kong movie she was in, which like she was younger, and the Gods of Monsters, whatever, the King of the Monsters, I think she's in.
That's right. Yep.
But like I haven't, because she hasn't really broken through to the movies besides that, when they really were trying to make her happen after Stranger Things. This is the first time or this series, I guess, was the first time where I was like, oh, like I get it. She's really good. Like she was really good in these movies. So it's a shame that the material does not live up to her performance in this one. So that's a bummer, but I agree. I hope they continue and that the next one is better because it's good character, good world. This one's directed by the guy who did Adolescence, and rather than the guy who's directed the first two movies. And I don't know what difference that made, but I don't know if it was his fault. It just like it feels more like
it's the same screenwriter too, which is also strange.
Yeah, it's
I
weird.
don't know what
Something's off.
What's different. There is something off about it.
Just a classic case of diminishing returns, even maybe. Like we'll see.
That could just be it too. It might just run out of ideas and might need to go in a completely different direction.
And there are books that are these are based on that are specifically about the sister and her antics. So I'm sure there's more. So surprising that they would run out of ideas is all I'm saying. But it seems like that's because again they're trying to Sherlockify it for whatever reason. Maybe Netflix is trying to do a Sherlock show with Henry Cavill. Like maybe something's got to give. Something's going on over there. Anyway.
They're hoping he won't be cast as James Bond. And they go, hey, you want to play Sherlock Holmes over here? We'll get you a whole other movie series going on that.
Yeah, man. Get Guy Ritchie back. Let's do it. Do it again. Anyway, let's talk about Lockbox, a very strange movie from Daniel Stamm, director of The Last Exorcism. And I don't know what else, frankly. Here's the trailer.
The Last Exorcism Part 2.
For sure. One of my favorite titles because it's like the last part 2. Hilarious.
Yes.
Here's the trailer for Lockbox.
The coroner says Bonaventure died sometime Tuesday night. Your cousin Ellen said you have a history of wandering after dark. Have you ever been to Bonaventure's house? Did you murder Bonaventure? I'm going to need a verbal response on this.
Winthrop is not a murderer. And from the moment I met Bonaventure, you could tell something was very off.
Well,
quick correction.
Yeah.
Sorry, quick correction. Daniel Stamm did not direct The Last Exorcism Part 2. So that explains partially why The Last Exorcism Part 2, beyond the unnecessary, not being needed.
Yeah.
It's not as good.
Yeah, okay. Daniel Stamm, sorry we said you directed.
Yeah, sorry we said that.
Part 2.
He probably produced it. I don't know about that, but
I'm sure his name was on it. But we wouldn't want to tar you with that feather. Nor would we. I don't want to tell anyone you made.
Before
this
we talk
movie.
about Lockbox,
I don't want to tell anyone you made Lockbox. What the fuck is this? This movie is so I'm going to say needlessly complex for what it's actually doing. I found it so strange. That trailer is kind of not what it's about already, like with the framing of that woman. I really like Lou Taylor Pucci, so I was excited to see him in this. I like Carlo Gugino. It's disappointing because it's just like a very strange movie. I don't know what to say without getting into what happens. So, Mark, help me.
Yeah, it's one of those weird ones where you kind of know exactly what's going on, but they don't reveal it until the very end. And it's also one of those
like, oh,
movies...
this guy with PTSD who's wandering around at night is doing weird shit. No way.
Yeah, and maybe there's like a demon involved because this other woman who shows up is doing some very strange things, appearing in reflections as a demonic figure. Maybe there's something up with that. I wonder. We know exactly what's going on way before the movie is even trying to tell us what's going on, and so that's annoying. It's all generic stuff. It's a lot of jump scares. It's a lot of just kind of teasing at things that are going to come, but there's nothing interesting about it until the third act when it introduces this idea, which is like a moral conundrum. What would you do? What would you sacrifice? Is the cost of this one person worth the cost of another life or what might happen with that. That's an interesting idea, but it doesn't delve into it in any way. It's just more generic stuff with demonic possession and what are we going to do about it. It's very disappointing. And this
Have
is
we said what
apparently
it's
based
about yet?
No, because I mean I don't what
I
is
also
there to
just
say?
noticed in the trailer that it was based on a podcast, which is the first
Yeah.
I've heard of this. So what the hell is
And
that? The
man,
Knife Point podcast?
yeah, Knife Point Horror.
Okay.
And it sounds interesting. And if this movie were kind of interesting at all, I might actually listen to an episode or two of it. But this movie is not great advertising for that podcast because if it's like this, I have no interest in listening to it.
Yeah, because it's not like what's interesting to me is like you're waiting for it to explain all the weirdness and like what's going on. And you're like, okay, well, I'm assuming there must be a good explanation if they're going to go through all these hoops to make it complex like this. And then it just comes and it's like, okay, what the fuck? Like, this is just stupid.
Yeah,
like,
there's nothing.
There's just nothing. This isn't interesting. So yeah, I don't know what else to say because we can't really get into it, but it's like Lou Taylor Pucci stars as Winthrop, a PTSD having man who's her cousin. She's kind of like invites him to her house because he has nowhere else to go. And it's about that, I guess. Is that all we can say?
Catherine Isabel plays a neighbor who shows up and starts behaving strangely around them, and that's about it. That's yeah.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
don't
exactly
know
what you think it is.
Yeah, maybe I'm missing something, and maybe the story plays better as an audio narrative radio show. I'm actually compelled to listen to it. God, it's an hour and 16 minutes long, even as a radio show. I don't know if I'll actually ever listen to that. But
yeah, if you do, let me know. But,
I'm curious a little bit. It just the movie was so confusing that I'm like, maybe this makes sense on the page somewhere, or maybe it is just this kind of dumb thing. Which I feel like the title makes it feel like it's something else than it is. Oh, the whole thing is just like I feel like it's misdirection, but it's not actually misdirection. It's just like kind of shitty writing. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's only confusing because it takes so long to kind of tell you exactly what you already expect it to be. That's all that it is.
Yeah.
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 I think that's what it is. It's just it's not confusing like in a way of like, oh, why
like what a complex
plot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
It's not doing that. It's just kind of playing games with the very obvious stuff to try to keep you off track, but there's no way to keep you off track because you know exactly what's going on. Because they have to do all the jump scares and stuff, so you know exactly what's happening. It's annoying.
Yeah, 1.5 for me for Lockbox.
Yeah, Brett, 1.5 stars for me as well.
All right, the last movie of the day on this short week, this holiday week, is Pitfall, a movie that Mark claims was in theaters 2 weeks ago in some sort of release.
It was about a month ago.
About a month ago. Okay. And now it's on digital. You can rent or buy it. But I think we're both going to advise you not to do that. Here's the trailer for Pitfall.
Beautiful, huh? No stress. Just calm.
Fun fact, over the last decade, over 2,000 people have gone missing.
What's the matter? Scared of the woods? It's a pitfall. It's a hunter's trap. Shouldn't be here. You're not allowed to hunt in this area.
Where's Scott? Should have been back by now.
We're gonna find him.
This movie has an awesome premise. I actually think once I learned what a pitfall was, and it's like a hole that, hunters build to trap animals and they fall through and die on spikes and shit. It's a real thing. Just imagine someone getting stuck in that. And it's a horror movie, 127-hour style with the guy in there, but then also the question of who's setting these traps. So it's like a serial killer movie. I'm all in. I think it sounds great. This movie is instead about all their backstory and emotional bullshit that no one gives a fuck about. And this movie's nearly 2 hours long and it barely deals with the pit. It's so frustrating. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So group of friends go out on a camping trip and eventually one of them falls into a pit and is stuck on a spike and all the other friends go looking for him and they realize, oh no, there's a killer hunter played by Randy Couture in the woods trying to hunt them down. and that's it. And everybody in the movie is very incompetent except for the hunter, who is almost preternaturally
Super
competent.
Yeah.
Like, he has control. He's one of those serial killers and slashers in the movie that has control over the movie itself. Like, he can manipulate the editing in a way, almost, it seems. Like, there'll be a shot of him walking towards somebody and then he's just gone. How did that happen? It's one of those movies. It's kind of frustrating because, yeah, there is maybe a good idea if you picked a lane and did maybe the story of the guy stuck in the pit and how he's confronting all this stuff and maybe trying to stay alive. Maybe the hunter is actually doing something, but he, instead of just showing up occasionally, looking down and saying, "Oh," not even saying anything, just like looking at him like, "Yeah, you're stuck in my pit," and then walk away, go try to kill his friends. Could have done something with that. Could have done something with this hunter trying to kill these people. Could have done something a little more convincing with the backstory. That whole flashback becomes
it's a
so
joke.
over the top.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into it. The semi truck and the seatbelt and all of that stuff. It's
a lot.
Weird.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
It just
it's
goes
a lot.
It's just, first of all, it's too long. Even if it were delivering the goods, I think at this length it would be a lot. But it's not delivering the goods. It's spending so much of its runtime, maybe because there's no money. I don't know why. Just like wasting time with exposition and character work for like these nothing characters in this stupid horror movie. So it's really frustrating because I was like on board from the beginning and then it just kept fucking going with nothing happening for so long. So I was quite disappointed with this ultimately. I don't know where are you on it?
1.5 stars for Pitfall.
All right, I'm right there with you. I was gonna say I'll be kind and give it 2, but no, it's 1.5.
I mean, it's one of those movies. Like, can you really say it's got anything really going for it apart from? I mean, you said it is cheap, and there are some very bad practical effects and digital effects. But when it comes to like blood and gore and all that stuff, they put the money there at least.
Yeah. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, God, this was just like basically disappointing because it has promised to me from the jump, and then it kind of lost me. So yeah, I'll stick with 1.5, I suppose. Why not? Why not? Okay. All right. I believe that's it. So Mark, are you ready for a recap?
Yes. Minions and Monsters, 3 stars from Brett, 2.5 stars from me. Young Washington, 1.5 stars from Brett, 2 stars from me. 2.5 stars from both of us for Enola Holmes 3. 1.5 stars from both of us for Lockbox. And once again, 1.5 stars from both of us for Pitfall. It's not a great holiday weekend, apparently, but I think that was kind of the point. They knew that people wouldn't be coming out unless you could get them into the theater for some reason. Minions is, I'm guessing, the best bet. Yeah, Minions is probably your best bet if you're going to go somewhere. It is funny, I still think, for like the first half hour. So
fair enough. Yeah, there you go. I don't think we have any reviews, but I'll jump over to YouTube and see what the comment section has to say. Johnny McGarrigle said he's a little bit more muted on Toy Story 5 than both of us. Really enjoyed the A plot and thought it landed the emotional beats really well. But anytime the B Buzz plot came up, it killed the momentum for me. Also, I didn't think it was as funny as it should have been. That's fair criticism, Johnny. Peter Cunnington 69 said, by the way, they're re-releasing Endgame in September, I believe, so you have a chance to catch up, and they're changing the title slightly and adding some extra scenes. Oh, good. I actually don't think I will be partaking in that in theaters. If I'm going to watch it, I'm watching it on my terms over 15 nights in my house or something on TikTok, broken up into 1,000 pieces. I'm just kidding.
It's 3 hours long, so
yeah, I'm still unclear if I'm going to do that or if it's worth my time. I really do feel like Endgame is going to just be, I can watch it through pop culture osmosis and be fine, and also I'm probably going to hate all of it. So I'm not looking forward to that, I guess. Liam Johnson said, Jackass 3D was one of the best theatrical experiences of my life. How would you rank the 5 entries if you have seen them all? Wow. Tough question for me. I'm a huge fan of all of them. I know Mark would have the first one dead last.
Yeah, the first one's dead last for me.
I can't imagine that opinion.
2's at the top. 2's at the top for me.
I think 2 is up there, then 3D. I think it's 2, 3D. For me, the original, and then Forever, and then best and last would be the ranking. But I really like all the 0.5s that are the in between extra footage. There's so much footage. I've enjoyed all of it.
I think I would go 2, 5, 4, 3, 1.
That's a cool
That's 5
ranking.
of them,
I
right?
like it. Yeah, I do like it. All right, I like that a lot. What else do we got? The End of Time Travel says that Jackass 2 was his favorite theater experiences ever. This person also said they had tickets to see Supergirl, but they ended up not going, couldn't drag themselves to it. And then that person advised me not to watch any more Marvel movies and just go in blind to the next one. All right, that sounds good. I'll do that.
You have until December, I think, so it's gonna be
okay.
fun.
Oh,
it's gonna come up every week, and you're gonna be
someone's gonna be trolling me about it. Yeah, I need to watch it, I guess. Oh, this is funny. Leonardo Lopez says during the Little Brother review, I could see Mark's soul being ripped away each time he talks about every plot contrivance and every terrible joke. It's honestly amazing to see, even though I'm sure the movie itself is horrible. Honestly, for this year's Best of the Year video at the end of the year, you should include a segment where instead of also making a top list of the worst films of the year, you should make a mention the one movie you consider the worst of the year, because it looks like Little Brother might be a strong contender for Mark's worst, or maybe the Napa Boys. Yeah, I guess Mark will have to power through a lot more and figure that out.
Yeah, we're only halfway through the year, so
yeah, good God. To imagine things that could be worse than those, that's pretty tough. Just saw Supergirl. Lobo is so Harley riders can defend young women. Superhero movies future is made for PG-13 skirt streaming. Keep up the good work. Freedom. Thank you, AF Lewis. That was a great message. Oh yeah, Ed has problems with us. Let's see.
Okay.
What did he say? Bone to pick with us, particularly the way you went after Supergirl while giving so many other movies a pass. In my opinion, Supergirl was just okay, and it definitely had problems. And while I heard some of them mentioned, it's too dark, formulaic, more in terms of space opera movies, a lot like The Guardians. James Gunn clearly had his fingerprints all over it. There was stuff that was ridiculous. I didn't think that Lobo overshadowed Supergirl at all. As he really only had 3 or 4 scenes and too many characters. It was Supergirl, Ruthie, Clem, and then Lobo. That was it. The number of characters and storylines in Gunn's Superman was insane, and there was so much stuff that annoyed me. Superman is a punk rocker. There's nothing less punk rock than him. And I hated David Cornsweat's appearance as Supergirl. Those not only felt like they were filmed separately in front of green screen, but they were phoned in literally. So yeah, I guess my love-hate relationship with the show continues. Smiley face. He's just kidding. And he said, thanks for getting to Romeria also. I think Lobo's inclusion does overshadow her because there's just no fucking reason for him to be there. Like,
yeah,
he's just there. And even if it's 3 or 4 scenes, that's 3 or 4 scenes that we're not getting of her. And she doesn't get to do shit in this movie. Like, what does she do? Yeah.
There are 4 like key scenes. There's the climactic fight where he shows up and does a lot of the work in that big final fight. There's a scene that's basically just him and Ruthie in the jail, and so that's just the 2 of them. He takes over that scene entirely, and then his introduction is just making sure Jason Momoa is playing Lobo. Here's Lobo. Do you like Lobo? Here's some Lobo. Lobo's here, and it's whenever Lobo's on screen, somebody's got to be talking about Lobo.
Somebody should be asking where's Lobo for sure.
Yeah.
The movie definitely lives by that principle, I think.
This Lobo just shows up out of the blue.
Yeah, I'm glad Ed is more appreciative of that movie than we are.
I will say it's 3 or 4 scenes, but they are scenes that stick out.
Yeah, and I
really
will say
badly.
I also had a problem with Superman being busy, and I think this was busy in the wrong ways, I guess. Busy, I don't know. It just wasn't.
We both disliked Superman more than
that's right.
Supergirl, and
That's
movie it is because that movie Superman is overshadowed by a lot more characters.
Yeah,
the overshadowing isn't as bad in this. But
the JV squad in Superman is so funny. Like, who the fuck cares about any of these people?
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, like Johnny McGarrigle said, like Brett, I read the comic before seeing the movie, and that strips down everything good about the comic to this paint by numbers movie. Anytime I laughed at the film was at it, being reminded that Superman had Jor-El send Kal-El to enslave us in the first movie, and how that barely connects here. At the mid-credit scene being put in the end of the film and not making sense narratively, and finally the complete miss of this Jimmy Eat World cover needle drop. No idea how this script got made. I agree, and it's funny because James Gunn put on such a show about we only are doing movies when the script is just right. He made such a stink about it. And then he put out the two fucking dumbest movies ever. I was such a gun guy at a certain point, so I'm pretty disappointed with how things are going over at DC. And I hope they do just rip it away from him or change Stacked in another way. I kind of like that it's been a disaster over there and they can't figure out anything. But I don't think the gunverse is going to be much for anybody anymore. I feel like it's already over. But we'll see. I know there's another Superman though in the tank, or almost done. Man of Tomorrow with.
I like when James Gunn does his weird things, like with Guardians. Guardians 3 is
was great.
So good.
Guardians 3 was unexpectedly really great. Carrie Mulligan says, I just saw the Young Washington poster, and my condolences to anyone who has to watch that. I obviously have a very open mind about movies, but when I smell pure propaganda, I usually don't bother. If it's propaganda, it must be Angel Studios, but I'm glad they sometimes deliver a sketch, so I do not hate them. I would say it's less propaganda than you think, although it is still inherently, like, as I said, the Great Man style biopic, kind of a hagiography. Doesn't really get into any, I mean, I don't know what it would get into, but slave ownership and shit like that. It doesn't really get into anything dicey.
I think the fact that like it brings it that it acknowledges slavery, but doesn't like try to retroactively say that all these characters were really good about it. It's just, it's just part of it. And that's kind of honest in a weird way.
Yeah.
But it's not just trying to be like whitewash history in some way. I think that's interesting. It's not brought up much. I think Angel is interesting because sometimes they are good, even with their religious movies. That Cabrini, the movie about Cabrini, was surprisingly good and surprisingly about how important immigration is to the United States at a time when that was kind of controversial for, something that could be seen as right-wing religious propaganda would be putting out.
Right.
So they did that movie. What was the one we also liked about the
Truth and Treason?
Yes. Yeah. That was good too.
Yeah, Truth and Treason was good. So there's some Angel movies that are worth watching. Sketch
is also
number
good.
one.
Yeah.
Sketch is quite good. All right. I think that is the episode this week. We'll be back next week with a new David Wayne comedy in the style of Wet Hot American Summer. So I'm anticipating a big split between Mark and I on Gail Daughtry and the Celebrity Sex Pass. Mark's website tells me that the Moana remake is out next week, which surprises me because I don't think I've even been invited to see it yet. Which is, well, actually, maybe I have, and I decided I'm not going because I'm not going to the city for that shit. But it looks really bad, Mark. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The trailer makes it look like a costume production at Disney World. Like, it does not look like a real movie. And those are the big ones. I mean,
Evil Dead Burn as well.
Oh yeah, Evil Dead Burn. I will be seeing it in a timely fashion. I'm excited about that. And then there's a documentary from Ross McElwee, who's a really fascinating documentary filmmaker. And I know Mark's going to catch up with one of his older movies. Maybe we can talk about a little bit next week too. Cool. A lot of stuff, a lot of indie stuff too. So we'll be back next week with movies on At the Movies again. Bye.